Didn't sound too bad, huh? I think I might like this thing. Vance with Vbd-Retail here, and today we are going to be testing out the Siege ROC. ROC, I don't know, 556 suppressor. I'm going to keep calling it the ROC. I don't know what they want me to call it, but there's a few reasons why this thing caught my attention, and I want to check it out. We're going to go over that here. So, first things first, these things come in at about 950 bucks, and you open the box, it's got really nice packaging and everything in there. It comes with a direct thread mount. The rear end is hub, so you can take that off. One thing I do like about this is that it comes with 2 wrenches, and they're very intuitive. You've got a wrench to remove the hub off the back. It's got some latches there, so you can just hook that right on there, get another grip on it. And inside of the wrench itself has this little notch here, which you can use to remove the end cap. Now, I reached out to them and talked to Siege, and they told me that they are working on a flow end cap for something like this. So at some point, I am going to take the end cap off and use it. They said that it will give me an idea of what the flow back pressure will be like. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of difference there because we're just shooting it without an end cap. But something to keep in mind as we go through this. Also, these do come in at around 18 ounces, so a little bit on the heavier side for a 556 suppressor, but I believe that has something to do with the baffle design itself. Now, what really grabbed my attention with this is this doesn't have standard cone baffles, radial baffles, flow baffles even. I believe they call it a Linear Diffuser Array, but the only way that I can really describe it is it's almost like a bunch of sets of milled out washers stacked on top of each other. And if you actually look down the bore of this thing, you're not going to see a solid line of baffles and be able to count however many baffles it is. It's just a bunch of ports, so as the gas goes down, it's just expanding outward into these chambers of little puzzles, and it's just a maze for the gas to flow through. Anyway, that really got my attention. It's something, I want to say new. It reminds me of some older designs that used like steel wool washers, shoe eyelets in there, in order to suppress sound, and it looks like they're just taking it to the next level. It's got a 625 Inconel core. If you guys know anything about 625 Inconel, just think of it as 718's big brother. 625 can just take a little bit more heat than 718, which means that you can get this thing glowing red in the daylight. You'd probably consider giving it a break, but you shouldn't really be damaging it at all. So we're going to pop this thing on and see what we think. Now, before we go any further, I do want to say that we are a licensed 072 FFL SOT. That means that we can build automatic firearms. That's also how we get these suppressors in, so that we can test them, and that this video is purely educational. There is no other motive to it. We just like suppressors. We like testing them. We like knowing where the technology is going and seeing how everything is performing. So with that being said, let's get going. So now that we got this thing mounted up, using an A2 hub. Why? Because I'm strange like that. Have not shot this yet. And let's see what these first impressions are of this Siege suppressor. Sounds pretty dang good. Alright, I think this is something I can work with. So, on this 10-3, what do I think? After that first round going through it, shooting it a couple times, I really like the sound of it. It has this sound. I guess the best way to describe it is it sounds like what you think a suppressor should sound like. If you ever remember the first time that you went out and saw somebody shoot a 5.56 suppressor and it has that loud kind of like cracker or high-pitched like psh kind of noise to it, this seems to be missing that, which I think is really neat. So it's definitely a tone that I haven't heard before, and I think it's really pleasant. That being said, back pressure. This gun is highly tuned, got an easy tune in it. I'm using the Surefire OBC carrier and everything. It's a fairly windy day, getting some solid gusts right now. Still getting some gas to the face. So I wouldn't put this in the same category as your flow-through reduced back pressure kind of designs, at least with this solid end cap on the end. What I am going to do is I'm going to pull that off and see how much that changes to see what kind of difference we can get on that. And I guess before we go any further, I might as well just try that out. Now I have the end cap taken off of this thing, and let's see how that changes that back pressure, how it changes the sound, and most importantly, let's see how much it changes the cyclic rate of this thing. All right, not bad. So, cyclic rate definitely went down a lot more. Still getting some gas coming out of the ejection port, and as you can see, this wind is maybe 15 miles an hour right now. So, not a huge fan of that, but even with the end cap off, this still sounds really pleasant and unique. We're going to try this on the 14.5 and then pop it on the 20 and see if we get some different results going through here. So now we got this set up on the 14.5 and let's see how these results sound, how it feels, how it changes from that 10.3, adding on all that extra barrel. Not bad. Still about the same amount of gas. I will tell you that off camera, I did try one of these rounds without Ear Pro, and it was very tolerable. It's not something I ever recommend doing, but I kind of get curious every now and then. And I will say, without, having that hearing protection on there, didn't have any ringing of the ears, anything like that. I do believe I need to clean this upper. As you can see, I got a jam there, but that is mostly my fault. This might have something to do with that jam, but whatever. We're gonna keep on going. See how it goes. Definitely not the fault of this. But what we're going to do is we're going to move along to the 20-inch, put it on that reflex hub, and really see if that gives it a big change. Just because different mounting devices that you use can change how the performance of these things work. So don't take everything that I say for gold as an exact. There's so many different factors as these things go through. But let's find out how this thing works on the 20. Let's put it on that reflex hub and let's really see how quiet can this thing get. All right, now we are up to this 20-inch big boy. And I do have to say that this thing does look great on this hub. It actually almost looks like it was made for it. Really completes the look of this gun. So it's really got that going for it. But let's pop a few rounds off and see how she does on such a long barrel with that reflex. Not bad. So let's take a closer look at it. So we shot this thing on the 10.3, we shot it on the 14.5, we shot it on the 20. what do I think after trying all of these? Start with some positives here. So I love the ingenuity. Outside of the unique design of this core, which isn't baffles, I'm going to call them baffles, but they're not. You got the wrenches here that are just, it's smart. Like, how many suppressors do you know that you can take off hot, use the wrenches to just wave this thing around and hold it? It's got the end cap tool on it, and it's got a wrench here to remove that device direct mount that it comes with. That being said, the tone on this thing is very unique. It is very quiet. I did pull my ears off for a few rounds out of the 14 and the 20. Very comfortable. You know, that's something that you don't often see on 5.56 suppressors. As for the downsides, with this being 7.6 inches long or so, you should expect some pretty good performance coming out of that sound-wise. And I wouldn't really consider this low back pressure. Kind of marketed as a low back pressure suppressor, but even when we put it on the op sub, shot it on the A2, maybe if I put it on a different style mount, it would reduce pressure a little bit more. I know they're coming out with their own muzzle brake that looks very similar to what they got going on the inside here. Maybe that'll help more, but right now I'm not sold that it's reduced or low back pressure or flow. That being said, it's a very interesting design. It sounds great if you're on the edge thinking about it. I don't think that you'll be disappointed. Just saying, don't expect it on whatever you're putting it on to compare to some of those flow and low back pressure designs like your Hux, your Cat, your B&T SRBSs, and the Infinity 30, which we just reviewed. There's definitely a significant increase in back pressure compared to those, even when you remove the end cap on this. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I have a blast doing this. This is awesome. I do want to say, coming up, we have some fancy sound devices. So for you guys who are nerds about numbers, we're going to actually be able to record those. I'm still going to, tell you off of my ear how I think things are, but we will have those numbers that you can read and you can compare and tell me how I'm wrong. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We're going to keep an eye out for new stuff that interests us on the market. We're going to keep testing them. We're going to keep reviewing them. And stay tuned. I believe soon we're going to take all of these various suppressors, put them all against each other at night using different mounts, different guns, different sizes, and really see a flash performance test. And one question that I've always had is, with these new flow-through reduced designs that are sending all of that gas forward rather than out of the ejection port, when you go to use those at night, are they creating a bigger cloud in front of you that's going to cause issues with your light, your night vision, whatever, with seeing the target? I don't know, just a weird question I've had in my head that I haven't seen anybody do. So stay tuned. Thank you guys, and I will see you next time.